Number 1 is mindset and mindfulness. Number 2 is connection. Number 3 is passion or purpose. And number 4 is gratitude. Who am I? What are my core values? What do I need to be happy? What can I do myself to create that? We need to go over the fourth one quickly.
The four.
We've said there's 4.
How many have we done?
3.
3.
So we've done 2. We've got 2 more to do, so we're going to have to round them up. I'll do it really quickly.
Okay, is that all right? Hello and welcome back to Jill Spills, where this week we are spilling the tea on self-discovery and fulfilment. Today I am joined by the wonderful, one and only, sexy beast, James Ingham.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure, thanks for coming.
This is cosy. We've got a coffee and a wine.
I know, it's make you feel relaxed.
Yeah, you're doing well so far.
I know. Tick. Hostess with the mostess.
Always.
So today we're going to be talking about your personal journey of self-discovery, happiness, fulfillment, and what sort of stuff you've been doing. So let's talk about a little bit about you and what you've been doing, what you've done in the past, and where it's brought you to where you are now.
Okay. All right then. So I guess my journey is, I'm gay for start off. Just in case you didn't realise. And I guess I always struggled with my sexuality growing up. I knew I was gay since I can remember, 7, 8. And when I was, 12, 13, 14, I used to cry myself to sleep every night, wishing that I'd wake up straight the next day and just feeling like, this was in the 80s, so we didn't have the representation then. So I felt like I was the only person that was like this, and I felt there's something wrong with me. So I really struggled with my sexuality growing up, and I come from a really close-knit, loving family, but everyone's married, it's kind of the old perfect traditional family kind of thing. So I always felt a bit of an outsider or the black sheep, and I really struggled with my sexuality. And then I came out, I went to university, and in the second year at university, I tried to kill myself just because I was just sick and tired of being unhappy, I guess. And no one knew that I was unhappy. I'd kind of built this, facade of being, happy, and I was outgoing, and, no one really knew. Like, no one knew at the time. I didn't tell anyone. Thankfully, I didn't succeed. And I didn't tell people till years later, till I was in my 30s, really. And then after university, I went traveling the world for a few years. And I ended up becoming a showbiz journalist, or I'm a showbiz journalist, and working for the national newspapers, and going on to having an amazing career of, going to the Oscars. I've interviewed pretty much nearly every famous person you could mention. Being to doing all the festivals, and on paper, or to outsiders, I lived this very glamorous, fun lifestyle, and I did. But I think there was always a little part of me that wasn't fulfilled or wasn't happy. And I think it got to a point just a few years ago with, I guess, through COVID. And I know a lot of people struggle from COVID and found it really difficult, but I had a really life-changing time through that. I was in a relationship, or I just started seeing somebody just before, and then we broke up just before the winter lockdown. And I'm an outdoor person. I'm very sporty. I like to be doing adventures or out and about.
You like to have your top off.
I like to have my top off at all times. I'm surprised that I put one on for today, to be honest.
So
or at least it's even got sleeves. It's not even got a vest. It's early days yet. This could come off after another glass of wine. This could come off at any point.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the point.
Hold tight, kids.
I've really lost my train of thought. So through COVID, we just broke up, and I just didn't want to do a winter lockdown stuck inside. So I got on a flight out the country the day before the borders shut, and I had a backpack, and I originally was going away for a 10-day holiday to see one of my best friends in Dubai, and I ended up staying away for 7 months. And I ended up visiting countries that were open and just going there. And I went on this journey of self-discovery, self-love, I really had to, I realised that for a long time I'd been portraying this image of somebody that was secure and happy and fulfilled. And actually, I'd kind of got so used to my own lie that I'd kind of was believing it, really. But I wasn't. And I think a lot of people are pretending. Do you know, I don't think there's many people that could honestly look themselves in the mirror and say that they love themselves completely and unconditionally and that they're fulfilled. And I think a lot of us are winging it, and a lot of us feel like something's missing. So I've, for the last 4 years since then, I've kind of been on my own journey of working out what is fulfillment and what is self-love, and, you know, what do I need to live a fulfilled life? Because, you know, we only have one life that we remember. I believe we have more, but we only have one that we remember. And I think the purpose of life is to grow and be fulfilled and to live out the life we're supposed to live. And I think very few people are actually doing that.
Do you think with the journey you've gone on, did it make you face demons that you tried to hide for many years? Has it been able to help you accept, or are you still on a journey to try and accept those certain secrets, demons, the love for yourself?
I think mindfulness and self-development and self-love is a never-ending journey. I don't think you ever get to a point where you don't need to work on it anymore. I completely accept and love myself, and I've forgiven myself for anything. I have no resentment or hurt to anyone else. There are still bits about myself that I would like to improve and that I would like to change still, and that I still need work to develop. But I also understand that that's life. You know, life is light and shade, and there's lots of things that I would like to be different maybe about myself. But I also accept that's who I am and how I am, and I've made peace with that, and that's fine.
We'll get more into the fulfillment and stuff, because obviously I know that's very interesting. Do you feel that the journey you've been on to where you're at now, I know obviously there was some very, as you mentioned, about a very difficult moment in your life that you wasn't sure if you wanted to carry on. Do you feel that that's helped you to where you are now? That journey you've had has made you become the person a better understanding of yourself?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, I'm 44 now, so I was 19, and I don't even associate with that person anymore. Like,
right.
You know, it's so far removed that I even forget that it even happened. And I've been like that for a long time. But at the same time, I do understand how everything has led me to where I am now. And, you know, I'm quite a sensitive person. I am quite emotional, and I used to see being sensitive as a sign of weakness. And I think, especially being gay, I saw being gay or being sensitive as a weakness, and now I understand it's like my superpower. You know, because it makes me more empathetic, and it makes me, you know, relate to people better and communicate. And, you know, I have, without sounding really big-headed, I think I have quite a healing aura about me. I think people feel safe in my company and open up to me, and it's, you know, it's created a beautiful life for me, and I have a beautiful family. I've got beautiful friendships across the board, from different sexuality, races, ages, you know, everything. Like, so yeah, well, I wouldn't change anything about my life, even though at the time I would have wished it all to be different.
Yeah.
You know, now I understand how the way I see life is that it's a jigsaw, basically, and we can create whatever picture of the jigsaw that we want to create. But most people get so fixated in the next piece on the jigsaw that they're trying to put into place. And it's not putting in, so they're focusing on this instead of just designing a different picture. Do you know, move on to this side of the jigsaw and fill this piece in. And then eventually your life you'll be able to create the life that you want to create. But we get so fixated in the bubble that we're in.
Yeah.
I guess.
So do you think that some people, that analogy, is it an analogy?
Yeah.
That you've just said, do you think that's what people are doing? They're trying to build a puzzle quickly, and if it doesn't fit properly, they'll just move on to something that they think they can get done quicker on a next thing? Or do you just feel like people are just, I know I can be, if something doesn't happen, that's it, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
So
I think people get so fixated with they just keep going over, and they kind of don't see that like this relationship's failed, but there's a million other relationships out there. This job has failed, but there's a million other jobs. And people are trying to put in pieces that they're subconsciously being conditioned to want. People have been told what they should want in life or what makes them happy. And I think they think this is success or this is fulfillment, but actually there's a million other things that will fulfill them and make them successful and make them happy. And I don't think not most people, that's wrong, but I think a lot of people are looking for love in the wrong places, are looking for happiness in the wrong places, are looking for, success in the wrong places.
Do you think with the life of social media now, do you think that has an impact on how people think and feel because they're looking at people on Instagram or any other type of platform and they think that's how they should be? Like you said, they always feel that's what they have to be.
Yeah.
So people are trying to live a life that's not for them.
Yeah, 100%. I think comparison is the biggest killer of dreams, of happiness, and we're all too busy comparing our life to other people's. And with social media, it's a false projection. It's not real life, but people view it as real life. I do social media training for TV shows, for Love Island and various reality shows. And, I try to instill in them that their real life is their day-to-day life. Social media isn't real life. It's a outside concept, and it can add value to your real life, or it can be detrimental to your real life. But if you view social media, if you get fixated or go too far down the rabbit hole and view it as real life, then you're not going to be happy, basically. And it's a balance. It's a balance. And one aspect, social media is amazing because it can connect you to people that you'd never be connected with. But in another way, if you get too fixated on what everyone else is doing and comparing and looking at the wrong things, then it's bad for your mental health. So, it's interesting because one of the lessons that I learned through this journey of self-discovery, really, kind of the biggest points is that there's 4 foundations of fulfillment or happiness. And one of them is connection. And I think with social media, it portrays that we're all connected, but actually we're less connected than we used to be.
So we'll touch on to now moving into, so you've done all of your journalism, which you still do, but you've now moved into meditation. You've trained to be a meditation coach, and obviously helping other. I've done some meditation with you, which was incredible.
Thank you.
I'm not just bigging him up, guys. It genuinely was like it opened up, made me think and feel things that I didn't realise. What do you think people are scared of? Like, what is it that people don't want to admit? Is it the scared of admitting that they don't want to fail? Do they to love themselves more? Why do we always pick more of the negative than the positives in ourselves?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think we're just programmed that way. Our brains are programmed that way. When you bring everything down to it, there's love and there's fear. And those are the 2 rulers of life and the universe. And if you think about it, every decision you make in life is either decided on love or fear. And most of our decisions are based on fear. The way that we react to things, the way that we act, we communicate, what we focus on, what we aim for. It's generally a fear of lack or not being loved or not being successful or being judged and it takes awareness. You need to be conscious, and it takes a real secureness to be able to act on love at all times, even when the world is presenting fear to you at all times.
Do you think, again, going back a little bit to the social media, because everything looks so perfect, are we more scared to fail? Like, because failing is not necessarily a bad thing sometimes, is it? You have to fail to become stronger, right?
Yeah. 100%.
So are we in a society at the moment that everything's got to be perfection and we're putting more pressure on ourselves?
I think so. I think everything's judged more because it's public.
Yeah.
So it's the stakes are higher because if you fail now, everyone sees that you fail, whereas before maybe you could get away with it. That's one of the things that I really need to work on still is fear of failure. Fear of rejection and fear of failure are 2 of my kind of trigger points. And, I know that I choose things that I'm going to be successful at rather than sometimes things that I might want to try, but that I'm scared of failing at. So it's still fear of failure is still a big thing that I need to work on, I guess.
So you were talking about the fulfilment. There's different stages of this. So what stages are there?
So with the fulfillment, I think it's more pillars, the stages of healing, and fulfillment is pillars, so foundations.
Okay.
So I think there's 4 main foundations. Mm-hmm. There's actually 5, but the 5th, probably the most important, number 1 is health. But I'm not going to talk about health today just because we know how important it is to be healthy.
Yeah.
But, mental and physical health is number 1. And if you have your health, then you've got the foundations to live a happy life.
Yeah.
Because, what is that saying that a healthy man has 1,000 desires and an unhealthy person has 1 desire? And that's to be healthy.
Right.
And we all know as soon as your health's taken away, how everything else seems insignificant in comparison. So the main foundation of well-being, fulfillment, happiness is health. But apart from that, there is mindset and mindfulness. So I put them in 1 category.
Okay.
There's connection, which is number 2. I think connection is the most important, but number 1 is the most important in a way, because without the mindset and mindfulness, I don't think you can find the others.
Yeah.
So number 1 is mindset and mindfulness. Number 2 is connection. Number 3 is passion or purpose. And number 4 is gratitude.
So break down now each one for us.
Okay, so mindset and mindfulness. Going back to that, why do we focus on fear or things like our brain is negative biased. So it's been programmed from history. I mean, I don't know too much about this. I'm not a professional. This is just what I've read and what I've learned to understand. But, we had to look for danger in terms of animals that would kill us and all these things. So we're built to beware of our surroundings. And as things have developed, we've still kept that. So we have about 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and about 80% of those are negative bias. Even if it's just like the weather's crap, or I'm not feeling this today, or can't find anything on TV, whatever it is, 80% are negative bias. And also around 90% of what we believe is false. So the 90% of the things that you believe to be true in this world are false. And that could be, I'm unlovable, or I'm boring, or not that you are unlovable or boring. Those 2 things that you definitely know. I'm fat, or whatever it could be. It could be that, stereotypes of foreigners or different races or religions or whatever. A belief is just a thought that we continue to think. Just because we believe something to be true doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah.
And around 90% of what we actually believe to be true is false. It's just our belief, because everyone's beliefs are different. It depends on your upbringing, your conditioning, your surroundings. So if you put all that together, the majority of what we believe is negative, and the majority of what we believe is false. So if you add that together, most of the things that people think about themselves and the world is false and is negative.
Yeah.
So mindset is really about, we really can create the reality that we want, and there is no reality out there. It's just what we perceive it to be.
Yeah.
And most of us, and myself included, we've all been conditioned out of a fear-based society to fear other people, to fear other countries, fear of religions, to fear recession, to fear money, to fear all these things. And no one is teaching us how to be fulfilled or find happiness, or we're all chasing the dream of social media or success or fame because we're told this is what we should be striving for, or we need all these material things to make us happy. And it's just a way of control, really, but that's another story. I'm not going to go down that road. But yeah, so mindset and mindfulness, and our mind is negative bias, and it's also programmed to be this way. But I think mindfulness and mentality or mindset is about reprogramming your brain to realizing that a lot of the time you react. A lot of us are subconscious. So if you act a certain way over a certain time, we form a personality to protect us. Mm-hmm. And as kids, we form a personality to feel safe. And as we get older, that personality might necessarily not make us feel safe anymore.
Yeah.
But then we still act because we're acting out of subconscious reactions. So with mindset, you can learn how to, and meditation is the biggest tool to help with this, is to see the world differently, to see yourself differently, to see, the biggest thing is you are not your thoughts. Most people are so attached to their thoughts that they believe everything that they think. And we've got a voice talking to us in our head all the time, and some people don't even realize that that's going on because they're not aware of it because they're so attached to it. Once you become aware that you've got a little devil and an angel constantly talking to you, you can then choose whether you want to listen to the angel or you can choose whether you want to listen to the devil. Because a lot of us are, we have a negative self-talk in our heads a lot of the time.
How do you think, how can someone get to that point to know when to, that click, and to know, actually, I need to change these thoughts? How is it about meditating and going on a journey to start realising that, or if there's someone out there just daily life and listening to this, will it take something like this to go, oh, okay, I'm getting that. That's what I didn't realise that was happening, and now you've mentioned it.
It's being aware of your thoughts. Most of us are not aware, and then also being aware that you can change them and you can pick and choose your thoughts and your beliefs. You don't have to be attached to them. You can question them. You can change them. And meditation helps with that. And the reason a lot of people say they can't do meditation or they don't like it is because they sit to be quiet and then all of a sudden their mind goes. But what they don't realize is their mind is doing that all the time. It's just they're running along with their mind.
Yeah.
Do you know? That they don't pause to actually listen to it. So they think when they meditate, it's going crazy, but that's going on the whole time and they're just running with it rather than sitting with it. And that's, I guess, why a lot of people at night struggle to go to sleep, because they think the mind's going over, but it's been like that all day. It's just you've been so attached to it, you've not noticed those thoughts, really.
Do you think with the meditation part, that's what some people, I know a lot of people I know do it and they swear by it. I know I've done it with you, and I know that for me personally, and I'm sure there will be people out there listening, knowing that they don't want to do that because they're not scared, but they know what's going to happen and they'd rather not know, and they don't want to use that time to stop and actually listen and think. Because I know when I was doing it, that was one of my biggest downfalls of, it was everything you've just said, and I'd rather just not know, just put it away in a box and I'll worry about that another day.
Yeah. Well, most people, and this goes to the 4 stages of healing, but most of us would prefer to run away or hide from our issues, problems. We prefer to, and I used to be the same, and I still am sometimes. I'm certainly not perfect, but if something happened, I'd want to go get drunk with my friends. I wouldn't be able to sit. And this was the thing with the breakup. I just decided to just sit with it. I just was like, I'm either going to go on a bender, which may last for months, or I'm going to get my shit together and sit with all these thoughts and feelings and make peace with them. And it's like anything in life, if you're always running from something, it seems scarier. You're always trying to not let it catch up on you. But as soon as you kind of accept something, all of a sudden it quickly goes away.
And I guess it doesn't feel as scary as you think it. Like you're saying, it's that negative, you think more of what it could be, and actually it's not as scary as you think.
Not at all.
Do you think people feel that they can't be open, so they'd rather run away from their feelings because they just don't feel that they feel stupid or silly, what they say out loud doesn't make sense?
Maybe, but it's just being aware that there is no right or wrong. We've just been told what's right or wrong. All our feelings are valid. Feeling sad is just as important as feeling happy. And again, we're programmed that we should strive for happiness or success or, to be complete and all these things. And yes, I do believe that to some degree, but all emotions are valid in human existence, and it's just making peace that it's okay. And once you realise that, then you don't have to run, or you don't have to hide it, or you don't have to numb it. And I think most of us are trying to numb our feelings through social media, through binge watching TV, through excessive work, through excessive fitness, all of these things. Mindfulness and mindset are the two things that, firstly, we need to be conscious of our thoughts. We need to be able to sit with them, understand them, and then we can accept them, and then we can choose what we want to focus on. When I first started kind of doing this, I would literally, sounded like a nutter, but I would literally say no out loud. If I had a thought, because once you start noticing your thoughts, you'll soon notice whether you are quite negative minded or positive minded. And I remember, if somebody said something on a text message, or somebody said something and my initial reaction was to take it personally or send a message back or something, I'd have to go, no. I'd say out loud, no, like choose again. That's kind of what I'd say. I'd choose again. Like my first reaction or my first thought would be my programming. It would be my reaction through insecurity or through conditioning.
I'm good at that.
So I'd literally have to go, no, choose again. And I'd go, okay, I choose to let it go. I'd just breathe it in and go, it's not important. This is not important. Or I'd choose to go, maybe they're having a bad day, or maybe this is the situation. And too often we're all reacting to other people, and like somebody cuts you up in the car and then that annoys you and ruins your day, or somebody says something to you on a morning and then you're late for work and you moan about it all day at work, and then you come home and you're still talking about it to your husband or partner late at night. And it's kind of that one thing has then affected all your day, but you could have just you could just breathe it in, let it go, and choose that your happiness, your health, your well-being is more important than that one argument or that one confrontation or whatever. So yeah, I think the power of the mind is incredible. And again, I'm not an expert, so I can't talk about this, but in terms of placebo effects and what we can do with our minds is insane. And I think, focusing on mindfulness is the present moment. That's the main thing. It's just, when we are in our heads, most of the times we're in our heads, we're not actually in the world. That's a big thing that also people don't realize. People can go through hours without actually truly engaging or connecting, which is number 2, connection, because they're so wrapped up in their thought process.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't even see the world around them. The main thing with mindfulness is, and all the main spiritual teachers will say the same thing on this, it's about being in the present moment. And a lot of the time we're so fixated in our head or lost in our mind that we don't notice what's going on around us. We're not truly present with the people that we're with our surroundings, with nature, which leads into connection. So that the main point of, to be able to connect, you need to be mindful, because you need to be in the present. And a lot of the times we're either living in the past or we're living in the future.
Yep.
And the past often causes depression and, guilt and shame and upset. And the future often causes anxiety and stress, because, if we're living in the past, we're rehashing old wounds. And if we're focusing on the future, we're generally worrying about something that's not even happening and probably will never happen.
Yeah. And
it's always about just trying to bring it back to that present moment, because, and Eckhart Tolle always says this, like, in the present moment, 99.9% of the time, you don't have a problem.
So true.
And if you can just bring yourself to that present moment 5 times a day, 10 times a day, once a day, whatever, and just whether it's a 20-minute meditation, or you could just breathe it in and just, breathe it in and realize that you're safe in this moment and just pause. Every time you have a new conversation or go to the gym or go into work, it's a new slate to start clean again and just, start from fresh, rather than carrying all our problems with us, adding into the bat.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the times people are reacting to, to each other, to negativity, to the media, to everything, saying from a journalist, but, and we're constantly reacting out of fear, which I talked about earlier, the fear base, or anger or insecurity, rather than acting. Most of us spend our life reacting to things rather than acting. And there's two different big things there, because when we react, we're generally subconsciously reacting out of insecurity, out of fear, out of triggers, out of our conditioning. And when we choose to act, we're acting consciously. And that's why I was saying, like, no, think again, because I wanted to act with a clear head. I didn't want to react and respond to life. I wanted to create the life I want. And in order to do that, you've got to consciously act rather than subconsciously react to everything that goes on around us. So that's the main pillar, first pillar.
So I know we're going to talk about connection is the next pillar. But I just want to go back a little bit when you were talking about the reactive and the way people react, and especially with social media and being out in the public eye kind of thing. Obviously, the industry you were in, is that something you saw a lot? And did that highlight, like, did you notice more how people were reacting, especially with the people that you were having to teach, like on Love Island and that, on how to deal with social media? Could you see how people, again, were reacting to comments or trying to be something that they weren't because of the social media aspect of people seeing them for that, but not necessarily who they really were? Yeah,
I mean, I think with social media, and not even just for celebrities, but anyone, like if you post something on Facebook, everyone's got to have a opinion to it, haven't they? And they start these arguments of...
Yeah.
And I think it's just, we're all kind of triggered by what other people are saying. With social media, I do social media training for TV shows, and it's really just trying to instill in them to ignore and not respond to things, because it's crazy. People see you on a TV show and they feel they can say anything about you.
They think they know you.
Yeah, they think, and they don't know anything about you, and they judge you. So it's really, it's hard to be secure in this day and age. I think it's hard to be so self-assured that you don't feel the need to have to prove things to other people, or that you can just sit back and know that you're a good person, and know that you love yourself enough to not chase things or to react to things.
Saying what I said with the social media and you noticing that, did also for you personally, did that help you with your journey? Was you also looking in thinking, how they're reacting is sometimes how I react, or how that person's feeling from that comment, that's sometimes how did it make you more self-aware?
I don't know, not really. I mean, I've never been reactive in that kind of way, I think. Okay. I've never been a jealous person. My issue, I mean, if we're going to delve into my psyche, my issue is more wanting self-validation. So on social media, I'd be more posting things to people go, oh, look at you with your top about you sexy, all right, you're great. Like, I think growing up struggling with my sexuality and not knowing that I would be loved for who I truly was, I think developed tendencies of being a people pleaser and wanting to be loved and liked by everyone.
Wanting more validation.
So for me, I never reacted to what anyone else was doing. Like, I truly believe we're all doing the best we can, and I don't really get offended by anyone else's comments or anyone's things. I just think that's their opinion. Yeah. And I don't need to get involved in theirs. My insecurities come from, feeling the need. I used to feel the need to prove my worth, I guess. And I used to, do a lot of things to feel worthy, and for other people to say, haven't you done well? Or to, for people to be proud of me, or to people to yes, that validation, I guess. A lot of the things that I did in my career and life, I did because I wanted to do them, but also there was always an element of me trying to prove my worth, I guess.
And with your journey, your self-care and your journey with this, do you feel now you don't require as much validation because a lot more of that acceptance, because you've gone through these little steps? We will get to that connection bit, but those little steps.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we never completely lose the conditioning personality that we've created, but I'm more aware of it now. But yeah, definitely, once you learn to love yourself, and you're aware of your thoughts and feelings and your needs, then you're a lot more... what you will accept from other people, what you need from other people totally changes. A lot of the time we're our own worst enemy. And it's not until we can feel, when the break of my relationship, I realized I thought I was a secure person, but I wasn't. I really brought a lot of insecurities into the relationship. And I think a lot of people, so did he, but I think a lot of people want to find something to complete them, or to fix them, or to fill in the gaps from their own insecurities. Yeah. Whereas what we need to do is we need to fill in those gaps ourselves, and feel fulfilled and secure and whole and complete on our own. And then that opens up the door to having real connections with people, real meaningful relationships and connections.
Which brings us nicely.
Perfectly, I mean, almost a professional there.
Yeah, it's like, did we plan that? No, we didn't. So connection is the next pillar. Now you're saying this is probably one of the biggest.
I think this is the main one.
Because literally just going from what you just said there, I actually thought, till you were saying about all of like accepting, but you've got to connect with yourself first.
100%. Yeah. Connection with that's so connection again, I break down into 4. I always seem to break it into 4. I don't know. I love a foursome. I've one of them before. Anyway, back to the point. So yeah, first and foremost, connection with yourself, which comes from mindset and mindfulness, basically. That is the gateway, the doorway to connecting with yourself, meditation. And I think, again, it goes back to that subconscious programming that a lot of people don't know who they are. They don't know what they truly want in life. A lot of us have been told what we should think, what we should want from life. And we've been on this rat race or this conveyor belt. And I think a lot of people are scared to pause and go, what is it that I truly want?
Yeah.
And I think so connection with yourself, which is self-love. And again, most of us can't look at ourselves and say, it took me a long time, it's only within the last few years that I could honestly look myself in the mirror and say, I love and accept myself unconditionally. And yeah, I think the key is connection with ourselves. So self-love is that really. Connection is love.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important. And it's that old saying of you how can you love somebody else if you can't love yourself? And I think most of us are looking outwardly for connection and outwardly for love, where it stems from love and connection with ourselves. And that comes from self-development. It comes from pausing. It comes from meditation. It doesn't have to be meditation, but it definitely comes within pausing and looking and saying, who am I? What are my core values? What do I need to be happy? And what can I do myself to create that?
Yeah.
Rather than how all these other things surrounding me can make me happy. What do I need myself to do?
Do you think people, not everybody, but people are scared to do that because they're scared to admit where those little gaps are?
Yeah.
And then they think, well, I don't know how I'm going to fill that.
Yeah. And maybe feel that they never will be able to, or...
So how do you get people to try and get a better understanding of that? So if you're doing any of your, through the meditation or just talking and describing it, how do you get someone to try and understand that it's not a fearful thing to do and ways of trying to connect with yourself?
I think it's just helping them to sit with it. And then they realise that it's not that scary. And then the balance shifts. At first it's scary, but then actually it becomes a passion project. You realise what you want and who you are, and then you want to develop. Self-development is what we're all here for, I think. And it's hard because we are on this conveyor belt. And I was only able to do it because I was stranded in Zanzibar during COVID on a beach with nothing to do, I wasn't working. I was in a luxurious position in one degree that I was forced to go on this journey.
Yeah.
And if I'd have had all the distractions of London, work, friends, family, socialising, I probably would never have gone on this journey because I would have been too easy to just keep on that rat race or keep on the conveyor belt.
So writing things down, journals, is that a good way of people to even start finding a way of connecting with themselves, writing down their feelings?
Yeah, 100%.
And just write it down on paper, I guess. Yeah,
just get it out and just, splurge on paper. Just being able to sit and just, connect with yourself, to understand how you're feeling, and then to accept that it's okay to feel like that. And the quickest way to move on to a better feeling is to accept the feeling that you're feeling at the moment.
Yeah.
And then if you can accept it, and if you're not so attached to your thoughts, going back to the mindset and the mindfulness, if you're aware of how you're feeling, then you can choose to feel a bit better or to think a little bit better. It all comes with your thoughts, because your thoughts create your feelings. So if you're thinking something, that's like anxiety's tough and things like that, because your thoughts create a physical sensation in your body, which then makes you get more stress, which then your thoughts go worse. So it's a vicious circle. so your thoughts create your feelings. And again, it goes back to the way that we perceive things. There is no reality. It's just the way that we perceive it.
Yeah.
So if you can learn to think better and be more conscious of your thoughts, then everything snowballs from that. Do you know, the things that used to get wound up about or fear or seem stressful are no longer stressful or worrying or...
So obviously we know that connecting with yourself is most important, but what other forms of connection is there?
Okay, so like you say, connecting with yourself, which then leads to connecting with loved ones. Mm-hmm. So as I said, what we're all searching for really in life is love and connection, and we're all looking for it through, you know, in the wrong places, I think.
Yeah.
So if you can learn to connect with yourself, you understand what you need, what your needs are, and you can look to get your emotional needs met. And then you can form healthy relationships with other people. So connection with the other forms of connection are with loved ones, you know, friends, family, and understanding that we don't have to find everything in one person, that we can find different levels of connection in lots of people. And then after that, you know, I think we also are looking for connection from strangers, from the world around us. You know, we all want to feel like we belong. We all want to feel that we're a part of something. And too often, again, we're divided. You know, Brexit, all these different things, you know, war and all these things, we're constantly being divided. Whereas we want to feel safe and we want to feel connected to the world at large. So connection with yourself, connecting to loved ones, healthy relationships where we want to be able to be vulnerable with our loved ones and be seen and heard and feel secure enough to say, this is who I am and this is what I need from you to feel safe, do you know, without judgment. And you can only do that if you're secure enough with your own connection to be able to then connect with your loved ones. Connection with the strangers. And then the fourth one is connection to nature, connection to, you know how it is when you are by the beach, the seaside, you're out in a woods, a forest. Again, we want to realize that we are a part of the world. The world is us and we are a part of it. You know, we're not superior to it. We're not different from it. We are, we've been taught that humans are superior to the rest of the world, to animals, to nature, to trees, to plants, to life. But we're not. We're a part of this life. We're all connected. And when you go sit out in nature and are mindful and are present in the sun, in the water, in the sea, then we feel alive because that is what has given us life. Yeah. So those are the 4 points of connection.
Because I can remember when me and you were at Battersea Park and we were sitting by the lake and we weren't talking.
I was like, just look at the ducks and look at the trees.
And all I
you were like, what?
But then all that would take over was that duck.
Yeah.
Just the duck. And you were like, yeah, go on, listen to it. But actually, it was really nice.
Yeah.
It was a really nice moment because everything, and it was busy around us. It was a warm day, so there was a lot of hustle and bustle. But weirdly, you do so now.
Yeah.
And I think if people know me, people know me. I'm not very good at switching off. It's one of my biggest faults. But that day I do remember, and I know we did also a little bit of meditation in the middle of Battersea Park.
Yeah, can you remember after that? And you were like, all the colours seemed brighter and there was a different...
It was so bizarre because, again, we're in Battersea Park. I'm laying, spread eagled out on the grass with you just talking to me, my eyes closed. And at first I could hear, the dogs running past, someone on a bike, people chatting. And then weirdly, you do zone out and suddenly everything becomes very quiet. And for someone like me to say, give it a go, because it actually does work. It's very interesting how you can suddenly mute out the background and then suddenly you just become in yourself, but present at the same time.
You mute out your own dialogue as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You become aware of, again, most of us are so fast paced that we don't even take in our surroundings. And if you can focus on mindfulness or meditation and then you're in nature, you notice everything, all the birds singing, like how bright the flowers are. Do you know, it sounds really corny and stuff, but you notice how beautiful the world is around you and what's going on, and it takes you out of your head and it connects you to nature, connects you with life, which we are all life.
in a weird way. I mean, again, I know some people may not have felt it for whatever reasons, but sometimes I think even COVID did do that for us, because you had time just to, unlike at the moment where the weather's shocking, we had the most amazing weather. So we were outside, may it be in our gardens, or we were allowed to go for a walk, and everything was quiet back then. And I think it did
everyone
give
had a chance to pause. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I think you're totally right.
Yeah.
Everyone had a chance to pause. And I think if you can learn to do that now in the busyness of the life we live, it does make a huge difference.
COVID was so interesting because it forced people to pause, and some people thrived in that and some people really struggled. Some people focused on their passions that they'd never done, cooking or exercise, or found new things to, and other people really struggled with having their routine or security taken away from them.
Yeah. So it's a bit of like, a positive and a negative in a sense. So coming back to you on your meditation, what sort of stuff, someone wanted to come to you and say, actually, I'm really interested. This is what I want to do. I want to kind of do what you said. I want to kind of like, zone out thoughts. How do you work with that person?
Just communicating with them, I guess. Connection, I guess. Just finding out what they want to achieve, what's going on for them. Just offering a safe space to chat, and then leading them through guided meditations. So the meditations I do, I guide, as you know, people through it. So it's not them just sat with their own thoughts having to kind of, I'm kind of guiding you all the way through it, focusing on, mindset, positivity, the fourth connection, the fourth pillar, which is gratitude. Just helping them, guide them through it, really.
And what would be, now for people listening in and they're going back to do something like in a job interview, or they're anxious or going out meeting someone in crowds, what's right now is a few tips you could give to help someone kind of take a step back, breathe, and go into that situation in a bit more of a calmful manner?
I think it's just, like you said, breathing, just pausing and breathing, and just noticing your self-talk. So rather than being, I'm stressed, I'm going to be crap, I don't know what I'm doing, blah, 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 force and say, everything's going to be okay, I know what I'm talking about, or I feel safe, or, there's almost an embarrassment to well-being that we feel embarrassed to talk to ourselves like a kid or something. Yeah. But we actually all need that. We need, rather than listening to the self-negative, sometimes we need to go, it's going to be all right, everything's going to be all right. Like, it's just what we want from somebody else, isn't it? We just want a partner to go, stop stressing, everything's going to be okay, you've got this.
Validation.
But we never do that for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going, oh my God, I'm going to be shit, I don't know what I'm doing, like this is stressing me out, blah, blah, blah. We get swept along in it. And we need to be our own best friend. We need to be our own, it's that connection with ourselves. We need to be our own partner. We need to be our own best friend. And a lot of people, if you start to notice yourself talk in your head, if that was your best friend saying all these things to you, you would have sacked him off years ago. Going, you're going to fail, you're not good enough. Yeah. I'm nervous. Like, if you listen to your own thoughts, a lot of it is negative bias. And if that was a best friend saying all that to you out loud, you'd be like, piss off, mate. I never want to see you again.
Or a family member, you'd be like, I'm not talking to them anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered the mindfulness and connection. They're the two pillars. You mentioned 4. What are the other 2 pillars?
So number 3 is passion and purpose.
Okay.
Which for me represents success. So before, the old version of success was, money, career, trying to find fulfillment in there. But I think real success is finding our passion, our purpose. It's going back to that judgment of, we need to feel like if we compare ourselves to other people, then success is earning a lot of money, having a big house, being famous. But actually what fulfills you is doing something that you love. So I think that's the real version of success for me. And I think more people are learning that now, that passion and purpose is what success is. And I heard somebody say, don't look for success, look for personal satisfaction. And I love that, because success is judged by other people and personal satisfaction can only ever be judged by yourself.
Yeah.
So if you follow your joy, if you follow your passions, if you follow your purpose, find out what your purpose is. And again, you can only find your purpose really if you connect with yourself and you have the right mindset. So it all goes back to the other pillars. But yeah, if you have the right mindset, you're connected with yourself, you know what you love. And again, it goes back to my career a little bit. Like I was showbiz journalist, traveling the world, interviewing everyone, but it didn't fulfill my soul. You know, it was fun and I enjoyed it, but it didn't. Like my passion and purpose is doing this podcast. It's traveling. It's just being present in life.
Yeah.
So that's I don't need to earn money. Like I need to earn enough money to live the life I want to live.
Yeah.
But money and material things and showbiz and all that side doesn't fulfill me in any way.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So yeah, number 3 is passion and purpose. And then the 4th one is just gratitude. Like we've got to be grateful for what we have.
Which we don't do enough of, right?
We do. And there's always something to be grateful for.
Yes.
Do you know, even in the worst situation, if you can, again, going back to that negative bias of your mind, if in a bad situation you can go, but what am I grateful for in this situation? It's just a game changer. It changes your whole outlook on how you perceive things. And I guess I learned that a lot from traveling, is that when you're in, you know, India or Africa, they're a lot happier, it seems. They don't really have anything, but they're really grateful for that football to kick around.
Yeah, that's true.
Or the sunset or whatever. And if you're not grateful for what you have in your life, you won't be grateful for anything that comes into it. So a lot of people are striving for, you know, a bigger house, a bigger car, this relationship, marriage, kids, whatever. But if they're not happy and grateful with what they've got, when they get that, they're not going to be grateful for that either. So I think practicing daily gratitude and appreciation, again, is a huge game changer. You know, ending your day by thinking of 3 things that you're grateful for that day. Just the simple things. And you realize that what you thought you would be grateful for, actually, it's not about the big things. It is your health.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's the meaningful connections that you make. It's the special moments in life. It's not that big house, because I think Harvard did a survey through COVID of, do you know, what gives us happiness, and it's not all the things that we think it is. It's the little things of connection and gratitude and things like that. And just ending with a great way to, you know, try and force gratitude is try and make your first thought of the day one of gratitude. As soon as we wake up, we normally go into negative bias. So I've not slept enough.
Yeah.
The alarm's gone off. I don't want to go to work. It's raining outside. Do you know, whatever it is, our brain automatically goes to a negative thought. But if you can start your day with a positive affirmation, and again, it's forced. You've got to put in the work to do this. It doesn't come easily. But every morning, I need to go back to this because I've kind of forgotten it myself. But I used to start my day with, every morning, I am blessed, grateful and thankful to wake up healthy to a day full of possibilities. Every morning I woke up and I'd force that into my head.
That's good.
You know, I'm grateful to wake up. People don't have life. You know, I'm healthy. I'm grateful for that. And today has a million possibilities. Normally we see things as, you know, another day at work, another day of this.
Yeah.
And like, even when I was hungover, I used to force myself to think like that, because I'd be like, oh my God, I'm dying. Oh, I feel like crap. But like, I'm grateful to be healthy and wake up to a day full, and it's an instant game changer.
Yeah.
And my last point is just, somebody else said, you know, don't think, oh, I've got to do this. Think, I get to do this.
Yeah.
And that's another thing.
Change the wording.
Yeah, I get to go to work. I get to go to the gym. I get to, and just very quickly, like, I've done a lot for cancer research, and I've run marathons and I've raised money for cancer research.
14 consecutive marathons.
Thank you. And, you know, because I've been involved in cancer research, I've also known people that have died from cancer. And again, I try to not use them, but to think about them, to say that they don't have the opportunity to do this. So when I can't be bothered to go for a run, or I can't be bothered to, I don't know, go to work or something, or like, I just sometimes think, you know, I get the option to do this, they don't. So I'm grateful for that option and try to focus on the gratitude for that.
That's amazing. So obviously there's so much more to discuss on this.
Yeah.
So obviously we'd like to get you back on, because there's so much more to unravel. But for James Ingham, where is this moving forward? Where is your journey continuing right now? Where are you self-developing? Are you looking at different like visions of?
I'm just taking it day by day, I think, and I've accepted that. That's really, I'm just in the flow of, for me, what I realise is that one of the things that makes me happy is freedom. I travel a lot, so yeah, I don't really know what tomorrow's going to bring, but I know I'm on the right path to whatever that is. And I guess that's because I'm trying to be mindful of my own needs. So I don't know, maybe my own podcast one day. I've got a book in me. I want maybe running across Australia. There's a few things that I want to do, but it will all focus on hopefully trying to focus on fulfillment, I guess, whatever that means to me.
I'm going to highlight the book because I know it's something that you've been looking into, delving in and out of. Do you think this would be the time that could be a good time for you to start pursuing and writing that book and getting that book out there?
I think so. I've got two different mindsets with this.
He's going to hate me for this.
Got two different mindsets. One friend's just saying just write it, and I'm another one that I believe that when it's ready to be written, it'll automatically write itself.
Okay.
And I think I'm constantly learning, and I want it to be, when I write the book, I want to know that I've know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of constantly writing it in my own head.
Okay.
And like through this podcast, it's writing itself. So I know that it'll come when it's ready.
Well, thank you for coming on today.
My pleasure. Thank you
It's
so
been
much for having me.
So good. And hopefully you'll be back because we need to know more about the healing side of things. So we'll definitely get you back on for that, and probably with a book.
Hello.
You can promote your new book.
The 4 foundations of fulfillment.
Instagram handle for your meditation where people can come and people can go rather and find you and have a little look on your page. What's it called?
So I've got 2. You've got James Ingham Official, or you've got mind_full_moment.
There we go. So if people want to have a look there, go on to those ones.
If you see the James Ingham, you're probably going to get gym shots with my top off. If you've got a mindful moment, you'll get more positive affirmations.
Both are just as good.
One's about me getting self-validation, the other's about making your life better.
All right, well, thank you. That was really, really interesting, and I hope it's helped a lot of people listening today.